we going to transition into? Oh, our new segment.
Yeah, our new segment.
The Rehearsal Round Up.
The
we're calling
rehearsal dinner.
I got no stinger for it. Next week. And I can't believe we're actually digging into a show like this. But if we were going to do a show, I think this one warrants it. It's constantly evolving in weird ways.
100%.
Now, last night, I came home. I was feeling lethargic because I ate fucking Popeyes. And I was like, you know what will cheer me up is The Rehearsal. I look forward to this show. And when watching it, I thought, oh, I bet Randy and Clark were not in on this one.
On episode 4.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Episode 4 called The Fielder Method.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Randy, I'll let you kick off. What do you think of episode 4?
I think that it might be my favorite episode so far. I think the show gets better with each episode. And they actually address the issue that I had kind of with the first episode. Is that like, they kind of talk about it a little bit. They think that like he didn't really go far enough with it. And there wasn't like a ton of payoff for me. But I don't know. I'm liking how weird and like bizarre it's getting. And yeah, I don't know. I'm a fan.
It's growing, and it's making me think, and I'm trying to think like Nathan Fielder, and I'm trying to figure out how much of this plan happened organically, or did he plan every goddamn move? And he's just kind of presenting it in an aw shucks kind of manner. And I think that he's just very good at that. Because episode 4, we hit a new level with the show. And I feel like we're hitting a new level every single week. And that is, I mean, that's the goal, right? But that's, it's a pretty lofty goal, especially to do something like with it. But man, I'd love to know the budget, because he's just burning money on stuff that you don't see people burn money on. And the amount of extras that he's had on this show is insane. And what happened, what he did this week, I think is far more impressive to me than recreating a bar beam by beam and you know, stitch by stitch, which I mean is impressive, but he basically kind of did that with people this week, and it was just kind of insane, and made them find jobs, and they were shadowing people, and then he was it was just very, very intricate, and then he goes back to the farmhouse, and he had missed so much time, the child grew to 16 years old, and then that became its own storyline.
Hold on. Before we get there, I think this show is incredibly hard to follow. And when you said it made me think, I think that's the most succinct way you can put it. You have to pay attention here.
Yes.
And if we're going to talk about it, I think we need to give like context. Again, you should be watching the show. It's fantastic. And if you like the craft of film and especially TV, we're really digging in here. So, you know, one, it laid the groundwork for the amount of effort this production will put into creating a situation. And I think that was the point of the bar, right? Every detail, they're going to pay attention. 2, we have the episode called Scion, where we're introduced to the colorful characters we're going to get. And we get the whole, I want to be a mom on a farm with a child, and we're going to do this as like a whole life kind of thing. And this kind of shows the length and the amount of time they're willing to commit to something. Then we get into episode 3 with Gold Digger. We get more characters, but now we're also layered. Like there's multiple storylines going on at one time. So now in episode 4, The Fielder Method, we're taking another look at the level of production by examining the extras. And, you know, there's almost like a throwaway visual gag that Clark went crazy for in episode 3. And it's while they're Raising Cain. Is that Raising Cane's chicken?
Yeah.
No, I've never eaten there. Do they also make you lethargic and have shitty biscuits? Or
they don't have biscuits.
They don't have biscuits.
They have toast.
What the fuck?
Yeah, they have a Texas toast situation.
Is that like an authentic Southern thing, or
that's a very common thing with chicken tender restaurants? So that's also a very common thing. And we have a lot of different chicken tender restaurants, and Raising Cane's is one of the biggest, along with Zaxby's.
Oh, see, I'm fucking up. I love a chicken tender. Get the bone out of my chicken. And
yeah, because you're a child.
Hey, it's true. when you're raised on a frozen food diet, you stick to what you love.
Fish sticks, was that a big staple?
Yeah,
in the Fisher household,
for sure. Hey, what? You judging me?
Nope, I had fish sticks.
My poverty line fam.
I didn't like fish sticks, but we had fish sticks.
So in this one, there was a joke that was Nathan just watching an extra like fuck around on the table, and what does he say? Like, oh, what's going on? It's just like one line, and you started dying. It was in episode 3. Do you remember? Because in this one we revisit it. In 4, he gets behind the counter, and there's a girl. She's an actor.
Yeah,
and she's typing, and he gets behind there, and she's just writing nonsense in a line, and it just keeps going. And it's like, and this weird character that Nathan is creating almost has a problem with it. Like, he's like, hey, if we're being real, this should be real. Like, why are the extras faking it?
Yeah.
Which is, now we're into the mad scientist part of this, because what the fuck are you doing, dude? And he ends up flying back to LA and staying in his real house, his little apartment. How did you feel when he was trying to call his his platonic wife, and she wouldn't answer?
Was not surprised at all.
Yeah, me neither.
Do you think that's real?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, how fucked up is that?
I'm thinking like the show she has to be involved with the climax of the show.
Oh yeah.
There's no other doubt here. And the fact that see, that's why I'm just trying to that's why this show is just so interesting to me, because I just think that there's certain gifts that he received, and I think she being one of those.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that didn't happen until episode 2 is very interesting, because there wasn't a whole lot to go with Core Skeet's issue. He had his education situation, and then we moved about the cabin. Then we've got this woman who thinks that Google is Satanist and that Halloween is the celebration of Satan and everything that is evil. And she wants to have a farm and do no farming.
There's something interesting there though, because you got to remember with Sacha Baron Cohen, the magic to his work was always the stuff we didn't see. Like I've talked about this on here before, but Ollie G would sit with his guests for an extended period of time, just performing stupid. Like he would try and spell their name incorrectly for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And what he was doing is just giving the subject, who might be privy to like some prank shit like this, like a reasonable belief that this is a real person.
Yeah.
So I think they vetted these people like thoroughly before.
Yes, I would agree. And also we hit a new depth with her this week, because she goes into...
I predicted it too.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And I'm glad that it happened in this episode. And it was beautiful how we were able to tie that in narratively, which he did, very much like with the whole gold digger scenario last week. I mean, he kind of turned the tide with what she revealed this week, using their now 16-year-old son. And then also the end of that episode also said a lot too.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't want to use these episodes as like spoiler territory.
Why
because
not?
Well, because I'd like people to explore this, but it's also interesting of like how we're talking about it. Because
I think it's a hard threshold to get past to get into this show, and I think we provide more of a service if we like kind of break it down beat by beat. So I would like to go through.
The slide was great.
So before we get there, I think the craft of this show right now is that he gets lost in his work dealing with the extras, like these minute details. He ends up living in one of the extras' homes. Now, was that staged? That dude's room? I was like, wait, does he have like a secret kid on the weekend or something? And
yeah,
it's like,
that was.
And then we get a VO and he's like, oh, I slept in his bed. And it's like, that's his room? because he looks like kind of a cool guy actor. He's very serious. He kinds of not be taking the show 100%. And then his room, he's got like fucking Pokemon on his bed and shit. And it's a very tiny bed.
It looked like a 14-year-old Korean girl's bedroom.
Yeah, she clearly eats it.
AKA, it looked like Bobby Lee's bedroom.
No, that whole thing was fun, but I felt like it was such a tangent compared to the regular show topic that I was into it, but I wasn't immersed. Like he's acting as an extra in his own class. He's giving them assignments, and then he hires a dude to play Nathan. How did you feel about that guy?
Man, I loved him because he was so terrible.
Well, you know what it is? It's an actor portraying Nathan without any charm.
Yes.
Because Nathan...
It made me appreciate the charm that Nathan Fielder has.
Because there's something about like real charisma where you could just watch a person, and I've learned a lot of this through comedy. Like some people can deliver, like your favorite, Montgomery.
Sure.
This motherfucker, I watched an old episode of Kill Tony where William Montgomery came up and was just being fucking goofy. Or like even the one where he's talking about peeing on mermaid eggs.
Yes.
And Tony had made a remark that well-written comedians hate comedians like that are silly.
Well, yeah.
Because they can write something that's technically funny, but they may not have the tools to deliver it.
Yeah. And people didn't like me.
What? Where do you think you fit in?
Because I rest on my laurels of my charm.
You do.
So,
but you're also a good writer.
That's the other thing. And I think I struggle with that myself. So that I think that, people didn't like me. I didn't like me either.
Yeah.
So I think that was a big part of it as well, because I was struggling between those two things.
And, I think we really get a good context for Nathan Fielder, who, this episode is called The Fielder Method. And one thing I know about Nathan, having never met him, is he is a shy, introverted person. And he really puts himself out there in these shows.
This, by the way, this is the highest rated episode on IMDb.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I'm shocked.
The first episode got a 9.3. The lowest rated is episode 2 at 8.5.
And honestly, that's probably people just reacting to Scion.
To Robin.
Oh,
Gold Digger 8.9. This was a 9.6.
And we've dealt in this territory before with like Dashcam, where like a character can like change the whole perspective of the film, whether or not people like the actual end product. But while we talk about Robin Stone, I have to mention when I on my Instagram, if you follow me on Lord Battle, I do a very lazy kind of, here are the films I talk about every week. So when I put in the rehearsal, I tagged Robin Stone. I think you might know where I'm going.
Oh my God.
He immediately DM'd me.
Hell yeah.
Oh, baby.
He immediately DM'd me and my heart dropped. I was like, whoa. Because it's a regular practice. You tag celebrities and you hope like maybe...
Rockin' Robin.
Now, again, I did refer to him as a celebrity because he, again, if we're talking as TV shows, as solar systems, he clearly had enough gravity to be on his own orbit. There's a lot to unpack with what I did.
So what did Robin say?
He's like, hey, what the fuck is this? And I responded, oh, we do like a hacky film podcast, and we've been doing a retrospect on the rehearsal, and you came up. And I was like, hey, dude, I hope the internet hasn't been too mean to you. He never got back.
Damn.
Hell yeah.
But he was immediate.
So next week, probably not going to have Robin Stone on.
We could try. The dude doesn't seem camera shy. You know what I mean? Like, I think he would come on.
Randy, what do you think?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it. I won't talk to the guest anyway, so.
Randy did not look psyched when you just asked him.
I'm down.
Yeah. So there's my little tangent on Robin Stone. Who also, people have been digging up videos that he posts. I think I mentioned that last week, of him talking about wrecking his Scions and shit. He's a real person. Be nice to him, but definitely go check out the spectacle.
Yeah. Excellent.
Anyway, so Nathan is gone again. Now the child in this show ages years at a time every week. So he's gone. He mentions like he got way too immersed in this. He ended up staying in the dude's apartment, doing multiple classes of people even recreating it. He even went back and did a class twice with a different perspective from the guy he's portraying. And he was learning a lot. So he got wrapped up and he's like, oh, I ended up being gone longer than I meant to. So when he returned home, his, how old, like 2-year-old? I don't know.
I think he was 7 when he left because he said he had been gone for 9 years and the kid is now 16.
And he comes back and there's a teenager in his house.
There is a working man's version of Timothy Chalamet as his son.
Now, the show is so beautiful because we have a character perspective. Like we know that Nathan knows he's an actor.
That kid was a good actor.
He was great. And when Nathan comes in, you know he's embodying a dude who this is his child, but also that they're two actors who probably have talked outside and we're meeting. And the kid did what I thought seemed normal, like, oh, hey, welcome home, Dad, and gave him a hug and was like, they were nice. And it didn't sit well with Nathan. And he was like, well, I've been gone for fucking 9 years, man. Like, I don't know, maybe you should try it again. You should be angry.
Now, but the way he does that, he had to break character. And he had to tell the guy, hey, I know that we said that when you're here, you never break character, but I'm asking you to break character right now.
Beautiful scene.
And then he was like, if you had to do this over again, you know, I was gone for 9 years. What would you do in this scenario?
Oh, yeah.
And then it was great. And then they started going down the rabbit hole of, you know, drugs and drinking and partying. And that is when we had already learned that Angela, is that her name?
I don't know. What's her name?
I think it's Angela.
Yeah.
She's not credited anywhere.
That scene is probably my favorite because it's very rare that every now and then you see him sitting at a dinner table and eating. But she's cooking pasta for Nathan. And she starts talking about how she was like, hey, have you ever hated one of your parents? And he was like, no. Why? And she's like, well, I hated my dad. Yeah. She's like, I hated him. And I started doing a bunch of things to make him mad, like drinking. He's like, drinking what? She's like, I don't know, vodka. Yeah. He's like, oh. She's like, I started doing drugs too. He's like what? And she's like, oh, you know, weed, cocaine. And she just keeps
like, you did cocaine?
Acid. You did cocaine? Yeah, exactly.
Acid.
And he's like, acid. And then, you know, while she's doing this, she's cooking and she puts like a noodle, like a string noodle on a plate. And she's talking about this very serious thing while fucking with an individual noodle. And he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm just checking to see if it's hard or not. Dumps it back in the water. Dude, that's the kind of thing you can't write. And that's why I love reality TV. But I called it. I knew. I was like, this bitch did not have a good life growing up. Much like my buddy, my now best friend, Robin Stone. I'm like, I think these people found religion as a correction.
Yes, you have heard of the term born again Christian. Yes.
Now, is that like a particular cult you join, or does that just mean you found God later on in life?
Well, I do think that people, you know, misuse and they misinterpret the term born again Christian, but this would fall in that category.
And I'm guessing that means like you're overcorrecting, right? Like you're becoming like almost like tyrannical in your Old Testament application.
Yeah, you saw the light. And in Robin Stone's recollection, he actually saw the light.
He saw the light, and it happened to be at something that had to do with 88.
Yeah, at 110 miles an hour in a Scion TC.
111 miles an hour.
Thank you
Triple
so much.
number. But yeah, my experience with Born Again Christians, again, is pro wrestling. As I remember, Sting became a Born Again Christian.
Yes, he did.
And everybody fucking hated him.
I know, I loved it even more.
Well, he was calling people's wives and being like, hey, he's cheating on you. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Sting became a rat?
And I believe this was TNA time. Now I know a lot of people
are. Oh, no. Yeah. Sting.
And again, pro wrestling, you know, I never actually thought about this, but a lot of the time they blend the dark realities in your life into their show. So like Sting becoming an outcast kind of fed into him being the Crow, where he was like a lone wolf.
Yeah.
Because nobody wanted to fuck with him. And they do this a lot, especially like Kurt Angle and his breakup, or like Macho Man Elizabeth. They really exploit reality into their That's weird. I've never made that connection before. It does kind of fall in the in-world camera thing. But anyway, I know you wanted to talk more about the troubled upbringing of a teenager that Nathan was now experiencing. I'd like to pivot quickly to Oksana, who revealed to me last night that you had an emotional moment during the episode.
Oh, what?
Now here's the thing.
The Eastern European Guard was let down last night.
I'm a crybaby. I don't know. It hasn't happened during this show that much.
Or snuff films that you edit.
Correct.
Yeah, but I don't know. The end made me tear up, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sure why. Maybe just because he has the unfair advantage of he's been out of his fake son's life for 9 years. He has the advantage of I'm gonna rewind because I missed all of this, and no one else has that.
Yeah. No, for sure. And the path that it went down was so brutally real.
And I love, yes, and it was very, it hit a sweet and melodramatic climax at the end of how they did that, where they had the 16-year-old, they were on a playground, the 16-year-old entered a slide.
Oh, wait, go back more, because it hinges on him ODing in his room.
Oh my God, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, of course. Oh my, yeah, thank you. So the 16-year-old ODs and Angela has no idea.
No, she's jamming to her iPod shuffle.
And she's like, what's going on? And he's got white foam coming out of his mouth. And Nathan's acting in that is it startled me because we haven't seen him hit a different octave before.
Yeah.
And he's screaming. And what do we do? It's beautiful. And it perks up your attention. It was okay, we've hit a new level. And then the ambulance comes.
Yep.
And it's the actor from LA. And it's just great. And then the kid's on the gurney. And then Nathan's like, everything's okay. And then he just gets up and sprints out and runs into the woods. And then later we cut to the playground scene, and where it's getting towards the end, and the 16-year-old enters a slide. He goes fully into the slide, but coming out of the slide, and it's a tubed slide, I should say, where you cannot, it's enclosed. And coming out of the slide is a 6-year-old boy.
Yeah.
And then Nathan takes the 6-year-old boy's hand, and they walk off. And the very beautiful VO. It's a very beautiful moment, very sweet, very tender. Then what I love about this is that then he cuts that tenderness with jokes. You remember that, Russ, of how he ends it?
How did he end it?
The 16-year-old then climbs back out of the slide and then just stares around for a few seconds and says, all right, are we done?
No, you get that dose of reality again.
Yeah.
Because there's a beautifully crafted film moment. Because, dude, he's out there all night, and I think he's asking real people on the street, Adam, he's yelling at people at bus stops. And then it's early morning. Adam's up there in a play structure drinking with some kids, and they lock eyes. Now, Randy, I don't know if you noticed, but it made me think of that early cinema. They always talk about the German school of editing.
Sure.
Do you know? Yeah, and it was Eisenstein, I believe, where they had the famous picture. Dude, they did that to a T.
You're talking about the Kuleshov effect?
Yeah, right. If that's where the business suit guy looking into blank, they would intercut it with a funeral or a bakery.
Yeah, that's the Kuleshov effect.
Dude, I knew you would know that. And they did it. And I was like, whoa. I haven't, that's an old school film craft where he's standing there.
It's the Fielder effect now. Dude.
It's the Fielder method. Where, dude, because, there's no dialogue between the two, but the kid, before he gets in the slide, you almost think there's a breakthrough. And it's oh, he's going to come home. And then he slides down the slide. He does come home, but they cheated.
This was the best episode.
I wasn't in love with the extra stuff that he did with all the classrooms.
Watch it again.
Yeah, I could see that. But the ending was so emotional.
Because I'm telling you, man, it's so layered and there's so much going on. It can be hard to grasp all of this.
Dude, for real. And it's jam packed. What, we got a 40-minute episode, or these 30?
30.
There's so much to unpack in there.
The second episode I think was 45 minutes.
Damn. So okay, Fielder method, I guess. Yeah,
it's great,
dude.
Also, Russ, we're gonna be an hour and a half.
Now I'll keep it short.
Yeah, 100%. We're gonna be an hour and a half.
Well, I didn't even catch that dude was one of the actors from LA in the ambulance.
You didn't?
No, I didn't.
I didn't either.
Come on, guys. Oksana?
Mm-mm.
Oh my God. No, it was the guy.
See, good job, dude.
It was the guy. He was great.
We need to pay a little more attention.
Dude, no, go back and listen because his dialogue was crazy. It was great. Dude, I want to go back just to see him screaming at the...
Oh, yeah.
It was so good.
But it worked.
It was...
Dude.
I love this show now.
Okay.
I love this show. This was the best episode.
All right. Rehearsal roundup. And
what's next week's? Next week we'll talk about Apocalypto. After a visit from his parents, Nathan struggles to stick up for his values.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Mamma mia.
Do you think his wife's going to get into it with his parents?
I hope so.
Right?
God, what are his parents like?
I have no idea. I can't even fathom. Probably, I would imagine introverted dorks.
Yeah.
Very successful in their field, but not very outgoing.
What if they're like, Roseanne and John Goodman?
What if it's not his real parents?
Oh, I mean...
Yeah, what if
there we go. He's going to rehearse. He's going to have a fake wife in there and rehearse the situation.
Maybe.
All right.
That's why he's the master.